Hi everybody, I'm Lacy Schoen. Welcome to Real Women, Real Success. This week's blog post is all about what to do if you're attacked. Now, what do I mean by that? We've all gone into a meeting and the unexpected happens where someone just unloads on you about a problem they have with something you did or the fact that you didn't meet their expectations. It could be a boss, it could be a customer, it could be a partner, it could happen in any part of the work environment. And the reason I want to talk about it today is because the way we respond to those attacks when they occur so defines the kind of professional that we are, and it's actually an opportunity to really shine. But we have to do some things first that will help us shine in that environment. One of the things that is so easy to do is to react when we're attacked. I don't know about you, but I like being popular. I like being liked. Many of us as women were raised to please, right? We were taught that if we're a good person, we're pleasing people. And I don't like sweeping generalizations, so I'll go on record as saying that's not true for every woman, just like it's not true for every man that every man is not a pleaser or interested in being popular. But it is definitely true that this is more of an issue for women than it is men. And it's interesting because it does impact our success. And that's what I want to talk about today in talking about being attacked. So let's talk about the moment. The moment happens and the person starts to unload on you. It's emotional. We feel that reaction. We feel that maybe it's hurt, maybe it's anger. There's all kinds of things that go through your mind when the unexpected attack comes. And I'm not talking about that instance where you know something's coming, someone's unhappy and we're going to have a meeting about it. This is when you're not expecting it. And the first thing I want to say is we have to find a way to not react. And sometimes that's not so easy. The first thing that comes to mind is the hurt. Oftentimes, attacks involve a false accusation or maybe a perception that we're uncomfortable with or perhaps embarrassed about if we're actually truthful with ourselves. Whether it's true or not, we don't like it when someone has a negative perception of us at all. And that emotion is usually first to surface. And that causes sometimes a reaction. Some are better than others, but it takes practice not to react. And what I want to talk about is how you can respond rather than react and actually positively manage the attack and the outcome from it. So what I want you to do, if this sounds like you at all, is I want you to just think about one simple response that you're going to adopt every time the unexpected attack happens. And that is that you're going to say, I hear you, I've heard what you're saying, and I want to think about it and get back to you. And what this does is it buys you time to get past your emotions. It buys you time so that you don't react, so that you don't do the counterattack. Because let's face it, we can't manage how someone delivers information to us. Sometimes it's very unproductive. Sometimes it's personal. Sometimes even things are included that maybe are inappropriate. But what we want to do to develop our leadership skill and our reputation as leaders in the workplace and in a professional environment is not react. And the way to give ourselves the space to do that is to say, I need to think about what you've said. Let me get back to you. There's a number of different ways to say that, but it's really that basic. I've heard what you've said. Let me ask you a few questions if it's necessary. You might want to ask a few more questions. Let me think about this and I'll get back to you. Okay? The meeting's over, you've committed to following up. Now is the time where you can process the emotion, okay? Maybe you have a mentor, maybe your husband, maybe a friend, someone you can vent to. If that's necessary, do it because it's part of that cathartic process that gets us past the emotion. But what we're really trying to do here is separate the emotion from the actual accusation or the points being made that might actually have some factual data to it. Because here's where we can sometimes stumble ourselves. We react emotionally because the delivery, let's face it, sucked. But there also, when we separate the emotion, could be some nuggets of truth in the message. And we have to learn how to separate the two in order to be the top leader that we can be. And sometimes we need to give ourselves some space to do that. So vent about the person's delivery was awful. They were mean. It seemed mean-spirited, or they didn't have all the information. Perhaps that is true, and you're going to go back with more information. Just because someone attacks doesn't mean they're right. And oftentimes they're just either misinformed or don't have all the information. That's a scenario as well. We need time to work through all that if in fact we're inclined to react with emotion. We need time to work through all that. So we work through our emotion. Now we set that aside. Now we're going to go to the issue, the factual information that the individual gave you. Is it pertinent? Is it true? Are there any nuggets in it for you? Are there any nuggets about you personally, or perhaps a process, perhaps the way something's being done? And one of the ways I've found to really get to an objective state of mind to evaluate that is to say, how would I feel if put in the same circumstances? For instance, if it's a service issue, right? You're working hard, you're producing, let's say, an event, or maybe you've produced a program and you get some very harsh criticism in return. Put yourself in that person's shoes and say, walking into an event or walking into use of this product or walking into this teamwork session, cold, just the way this other person did, would I maybe have had some of the same reactions? It's just a way to have some empathy for that individual. Again, we're separating the emotion and how they address the issue from the actual pertinent facts. And that's what you have to focus on, is just the pertinent facts. Okay? So it is always a good thing to look at yourself objectively once you get past the emotion and say, you know, the person probably didn't present the information very well, or maybe they were misinformed, but here's some points that were actually authentic and real that I think we could address and we could better upon. So you want to write those things down, because I can guarantee you when you go back to meet with this person, sometimes if you were at all intimidated or angry or emotional about the way they delivered the information, that doesn't always go away right away when you go back to follow up with that individual. So writing things down is really important. In fact, you may want to write down the emotions that you had on that other set of paper where we were purging and getting rid of and processing our emotional reactions. You may want to write those down, because sometimes it's valid to bring a little bit of that up in your follow-up, depending on how harsh the attack was. Again, we're going to put that aside till the end of the video, but right now you're going to write down what were those truths, what were those nuggets that maybe you could improve upon, but don't make them up. If they're not real, don't do it. If it's just a matter of more information that they need, or perhaps they're expecting something from you, your department, your organization, that is not part of your mission. And then what you're going to be writing down is the factual data of an Then what you're going to be writing down is the factual data points of educating this person. Perhaps it looked like this is what we were supposed to be doing, but in fact it's not part of our mission, or perhaps we've been limited in our ability to produce or deliver this and such, and make it an educational process. And you can even go so far as to say, I would love it if this was the mission of our department, or if we could do this, but we just don't have the resources, or we haven't been given permission by the CEO, or the board of directors has decided to really hone down where we're focusing our time and attention on this product or this service. There's an education opportunity in your follow-up, and you want to make sure you get all that down. You want to address the information they need. You want to address the true points and what you might do as next steps to try to resolve some of those things. Thank them for the information. Feedback is a gift. So if there's valid feedback, separating the emotion and the attack, the method of delivery from the factual data given. If there's factual data given that's relevant, then you just want to acknowledge that. That's professional, and you should do that. And then you just want to wrap up by letting them know you want to be of service, or you want to have a great relationship, but you don't need to own their stuff. I can tell you that a successful woman is always going to have people that don't, not everybody's going to embrace you. Not everybody's going to love you. That was so hard for me to understand and get used to. But I will tell you that in a professional environment, the higher you go up and the more you lead, it's probably true that you're going to have a little less true friends in the work environment. It doesn't mean you can't be positive about it. You just have to understand the relationships for what they are. You're interacting with people and you're negotiating people situations. A lot of you thought maybe you're working for an organization that has a mission, or that you're working for a department that has a goal or a mission. The only mission or goal that any of us have is to work with people. We're in the people business. That's all we do. Even if you work in a fairly solitary environment, you're still producing something that's for others. So it's really important to remember that. And the skill set is not to develop close friendships per se, it's to develop close relationships, to develop productive relationships. And that takes a little bit of the gut out of it. It takes a little bit of the hurt out of it. When you actually realize what it is you're attempting to do, it takes a little bit of that hurt when someone doesn't see you quite for who you are. And know that there's many people who will never quite see you the way that you truly are. And that's okay. You can't do anything about that. You can only respond to the facts in a professional manner. Okay, so now you're getting back in touch with the person who attacked you. Hopefully they've ramped down a little bit. Hopefully you're in a better place too. But remember, you've given yourself that space to process the emotion, and you're now ready to go back with your response. And I always suggest that you respond with gratitude. Let them know that you appreciate them bringing whatever they brought to your attention. Whether you loved it or not, whether there were huge nuggets of information in there that you could take and build upon, doesn't matter. Always thank them for the feedback. You don't have to thank them for the way they delivered it. Let them know that you've thought about it, and that you want to tell them about some things they may not have known, if that's pertinent, that you appreciated the data points that they provided that might have been true. And if you're so inclined, and you have the kind of relationship that you can do this, you may even consider saying, you know, I just want to ask you in the future to handle concerns of this nature this and such way. Maybe give me a call, give me an email. Please don't make an assumption that it was intentional. Actually, very tactfully spell out the sort of behavior that works for you. That's empowerment, and that puts them on notice. You're not attacking back at them. You're just simply saying, in the future, I'm going to ask you to conduct any concerns like this, to bring those to me in this certain way. And you can even be reassuring. I can assure you that all of us want to do a good job in this department. I can assure you that we want to meet your needs, board of directors or boss. I can assure you as a customer, we want you to be happy with the product. But sometimes we can't respond to things that we don't know about. You know, nobody's a mind reader. You can definitely share that. And anytime you're sharing these requests of how to interface with you, you have to do it respectfully. Otherwise, it could be taken wrong and start another altercation that you don't need. So if you are the calm head in all this, you'll always win. You'll always win, and people will look to you to come in and solve problems. People will look to you to come in and deal with the difficult people. And that may sound like, well, that's a job I don't want. Listen, we're in the people business, and it is difficult. People are difficult. We all come with baggage. We all come with different histories, with our own perspectives, with our own convictions, conclusions, and opinions. You're dealing with a broad array of different kinds of people. And if you can learn to deal with the difficult ones and do it in a productive, very professional, well thought out way, then you will be sought after as a leader. And one of the ways to do that we've talked about today is a way to respond when your emotions are rising up in a way that gives you the space to deal with those, and then actually deal with the real issue and go back to that individual and productively lay out what you can and can't do, what the issues are, and build an understanding with them, and then let them know how they should be dealing with you in the future. So I hope that served you well. If I missed any point that you're interested in, please leave a comment question below. Please like this video. I'm so glad to be talking to you about these key issues that not a lot of people are talking about, and I think they're so important to women's success in the workplace and as professionals. So go out there and have a great week. I look forward to seeing you next week. I'll see you next time.